Well, Brazil's president, Lula da Silva, is calling for an investigation into the storming of 3 major government buildings in that country's capital, Brasilia. Right-wing supporters of the nation's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, breached buildings over the weekend, demanding that Lula, fairly elected, step down from the presidency, claiming that Brazil's recent presidential election was stolen. Sound familiar? Well, the violence there, it did echo and looked eerily similar in some ways to the January 6th insurrection here in the United States. ABC News foreign correspondent Marcus Moore is live in Brazil's capital, Brasilia. Marcus, so what does it feel like there? I mean, there was a traumatized sense in Washington and across the United States after January 6th. How are Brazilian people reacting to what happened there?
Well, Terry, I've got to tell you, there is a real sense that it's back to business as usual here in Brasilia. I've got to tell you, I expected that when we landed at the airport that I would see members of the military and police officers at every corner around the airport and other parts of the city, but we simply have not seen that. Most of the heaviest police presence that I have seen has been in the government complex itself. Roads in that area that ordinarily are open, they are now blocked by the police at this point, and they will remain that way at least for the coming days as they try to make sure that the situation is calm, and it has been calm. And in terms of the response or the reaction from people who live here in Brazil, we've heard a mixed bag, if you will, in terms of the reaction. Some people were obviously upset by the images and what happened here at the Capitol. While they may have been upset, they weren't altogether surprised. Had been some chatter that perhaps there could be, number one, a large demonstration, and perhaps there could be some trouble. So people here don't seem to be overly worried, Terry, about the situation. Again, it is calm, but we'll see how long that lasts. And obviously, this was somewhat of an embarrassment for President Lula da Silva, and the fact that these people were able to breach those buildings, 3 on the government compound there. How were they able to do that? Question now is what happens to the people who have been arrested and will be held accountable.
Right. Political history of Brazil marked by a little bit more unrest and instability than the political history of the United States, and so maybe it came as more of a shock here. But Bolsonaro says the election was stolen from him. Is there any evidence for that?
The official word here is that those claims were baseless. And they said that from the very beginning. There is no evidence that this election was stolen. This was a fair election. Now, that doesn't change the fact that it was a close one. It is, I think it's important for everyone to remember that this was a very close race that went to a runoff, and Lula da Silva just barely won the election on October 30th, and it does give you a sense that this is very much a country that is divided, and while Lula da Silva is in office right now, he's not loved by all, and while there is some support for his administration in its response right now to this insurrection, if you will, that happened here over the weekend, the question will be how long will that support last? And there are some real problems here in Brazil, and what people want, Terry, is a functioning government that can get the job done.
Absolutely, that's what people want everywhere. Obviously, there are very few democratic elections that are unanimous. There's always a winner and a loser, and there the process went through the proper channels, just as it did here. And so, you know, saying that you lost when you can't demonstrate it through the proper channels, well, that sounds familiar. Marcus Moore in Brasilia, Brazil. Thanks very much for being there for us.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.